This week on Rugged Expeditions, J. Alain Smith and his sidekick Mac Paget return to Northern Australia in pursuit of Asiatic water buffalo. The billabongs and open deltas hold lots of buff, and the duo is asked to do some calling of management bulls by their trusty guide Glenn. These dangerous beasts are a real challenge, and getting in close tests our hosts' hunting skills.
Presented by Global Rescue, there when you need us most.
Northern Australia, or Arnhem Land as they call it, is a lot different than the rest of the continent. When we hunted down in the south on Marble Island, as an example, the foliage is different, the trees are different, and it's a coastal environment. Up here in the north, even though we're not that far from the coast, it's really just a bunch of eucalyptus groves and some thickets down along the river, but a completely different environment versus what we had seen down south. Maybe we can close the gap on him. So we'll try and get in this taller green stuff. And then if we can get in there, maybe he'll keep coming this way. Let's try a sneak. This wind is, now it's going straight at him, so all we can do is try and make a big swing and hopefully, let's go try it. Sometimes it's just not your turn, I guess. He got a whiff of Al Smith. He is long gone now. In the area we're hunting up here, there's really not a ton of different kinds of game. Actually, besides the buffalo, the only other things you're seeing are dingoes and some wallabies and a few other critters. A lot of birds, but as far as game to shoot, it's pretty much all buffalo. The big difference between the African buffalo and the Asiatic water buffalo found in Australia is horn formation. The African buffalo, of course, drop down and make that sweep and then come up with the points at the top. The Asiatic water buffalo comes straight out from their head and then curves back. Much different horn formation, but still a wily, big animal to hunt.
The Asiatic water buffalo was introduced to Australia in the early 19th century to supply sustenance to the natives. The indigenous people would thrive for many years until foreigners began to migrate into the area. As the British began colonizing Australia in 1788, they referred to the people who were already living on the continent as Aboriginal Australians. The indigenous people were forced to work for pastoral stations, missions, and government reserves for little to no pay. This act was considered by many to be a form of legalized slavery. In 1910, non-native Australians began to take Aboriginal children from their homes and families to live among white families and institutions. They would become known as the Stolen Generation. And now Aborigines and Australians are finding common ground on which both cultures can thrive.
Hunting in the northern territories of Australia, it's a lot of different environments that you're hunting these buffalo in. One day you'll be hunting in the thick riverine jungle. Then the next day you find yourself out on these wide open flats. Now the big problem is, how in the hell are you going to get close enough to shoot one of these things?
We're out on this big flat and there's a nice bull standing there and he's a long, long ways off. And Al decides to cut a few branches and see how close he can get. I'm thinking, well, this is going to be short-lived.
That was really neat.
That was cool. I was hoping that right then, if we could get a little bit closer, then I just wanted him to turn away again. Then I was just going to drop the stuff, and then when he turned his head, it was on. Hello.
We figured.
Oh, well. All right, well, that was sporty. Let's go find another one.
The flats of Arnhem Land span hundreds of miles. And although most hunters would find water buffalo in the billabongs, it's not uncommon to find them meandering in the wide open.
We'd already taken a few bulls earlier in the hunt, a great close-up trophy bull. But now our guide Glenn wanted us to help him do some management buffalo culling. We returned to the other side of the open flats where we'd seen the buff the day before, but they'd all vanished except for a few females.
This is a pretty spot, though. It's lovely here. River's just over there. Main river, you would have flown over this. Yeah. Exactly the way. So this is Walker River. Yeah. Up river, floodplain.
Late one afternoon, we were heading back to camp, content with another exciting day of doing what we do, messing with dangerous game, when Glenn spied a bull that needed, as he put it, managing, and Mac was more than happy to put his management skills to the test. Glenn warned Mac before he started his final stalk that these younger solitary bulls are super aggressive and will protect their territory by any means necessary. Go straight away. Where'd he go?
Right here.
Good shooting, man.
Thank you, sir. Another rugged expedition.
Well done. Great shooting.
Yeah. Well, that's fun.
Make sure he's dead here. We don't need this one getting up on us.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know that he's getting up, but
Wait back here while we go.
Sorry about that, Mr. Buffalo.
Having a perfectly fine day.
You a bit close to the house.
Just the kind of management bull we're looking for, huh?
Yeah.
Old bugger. Horns come in tight. Mac, buffalo hunting is buffalo hunting, isn't it?
Isn't it? Big black targets.
Right on. Man.
The billabongs are typically where one would search for any sign of water buffalo. The muddy environment is prime habitat in which duggaboys will wallow during the heat of the day. Currently, the team is looking for management bulls, and as they navigate through the thickets and creeks, they decide to continue their search on the dry flats of Arnhem Land.
Typically, a management bull will be an old broken horned animal or an animal that's sick, or sometimes one with deficient horns that will never become a trophy class animal. Just like managing a white-tailed deer herd, the poor genetics and weak bulls need to be removed to keep these wild herds in prime condition.
Just walk out there and see what happens.
Yes, do the same deal, I reckon. Especially when he's got his back end towards us now.
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep moving around to his back end, if you try and do that.
Do we try the branch thing again?
Yeah, I think so. The wind's going to be the tricky one if it stays the same direction for you.
Now it's blowing right at him.
Yeah, it's been everywhere.
No, it's all right.
If it stays there.
We'll get a branch and see what's going to happen here. This is wide open. The tallest thing out there is about 2 inches high. So I have to do my imitation of a piece of grass or dirt.
You're above the dirt.
We're gonna go and get this tree in the background, so hopefully it breaks our silhouette up a little bit. Let's go see. Okay, don't move. Hold still, you guys. He's not having none of that.
I think you've seen these walking bushes before.
Since the walking bush technique didn't work a second time, our dynamic duo needs to resort to tricks that worked last season when they were successful at killing several big bulls.
That's a good job.
It's like trying to sneak across the pool table.
Way to go. The way he was hanging out in the brush, I thought, if he's not gonna stand there and let us go to him, let's see if he'll come to a call. Holy smokes. What a monster.
No ground shrinkage here.
Wind, wind, and more wind. Out in these flats like this wind is blowing in from the ocean. Seems like constant every day we get here to this open terrain, it gets howling like this time of day. If it stays steady, it's not bad because at least we can stalk into it, but having to fight a swirling wind is tough. But today it's fairly steady, so now we just need to get a buffalo that's going to stand right here and likes to see a bush walking towards him, and then it's going to be awesome.
As the team travels across the flats of Arnhem Land, a lone water buffalo roams. This particular buffalo, however, is a management bull, and one that J. Allen Smith has been directed to harvest by guide Glenn Giffen.
Even at this distance, I could see that this bull was in poor condition. His ribs and backbone were showing through, and he was hanging out all by himself. With basically no cover to hide in other than a sparse row of thin brush, I was lucky that the old bull appeared to be having a little midday siesta. As his head would turn away or his eyes would close, I'd creep in a little bit closer.
Things. Dad, how about that, huh?
Good job, buddy.
This is about as tough and exciting a buffalo hunting as you can get. Getting out here in these flat, open floodplains like this and trying to sneak up on these things is a real test of your hunting. It's awesome to get up close to these things. I mean, I guess you could throw lead at them at a couple hundred yards, but that wouldn't A, be fair, or B, probably kill them. These things are pretty big. But getting in tight and close is what it's all about.
With the success of harvesting 2 big bulls, the Rugged X team has proven old techniques are better than branching off.